Call the meeting in order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Before we get started, I just wanted to, well, there's no, shouldn't we see a picture up there too?
No, because I mean,
Oh.
they're seeing us.
They're seeing it. Okay, we're good then.
Yeah.
All right. I would just take a moment to welcome new members. We have 3 new members on the committee as of the board meeting last week. Bob Hillegas, Frank Brown, and Randy Weinmiller. So welcome, folks. Looking forward to your participation.
Thank you.
We'll get to that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Somebody has, so I won't do that. There's an interesting thing for this is for new folks. And by the way, Bob Hillegas couldn't make it today. He had another appointment that he couldn't rearrange or reschedule. So Bob will join us. He's well aware. We've kept in touch via email, and he's certainly going to be an effective member of the committee. We usually, and we joke amongst ourselves because we haven't assigned a secretary to the committee. So we take turns taking minutes of the meeting. And I always like to be very diplomatic and ask for volunteers. And everybody's reluctant to raise their hands. So unless there's an issue with somebody wanting to take minutes, I guess it's stuck on me. Huh? Anybody? I won't let we won't back out on the new guys yet. But so I will.
I did them last time.
Volunteer.
You do you?
Yeah, I'll volunteer, but make sure you tell me what you want if there's particular points.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
I'm new.
Well, thank you. And this is a prelude to the 3 new gentlemen. One of you will be taking notes at the next meeting.
I didn't see you raise your hand.
I don't know.
All right, next item on the agenda is the approval of agenda for today's meeting. I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll make
Second.
the motion.
Okay, any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of approving the agenda for today's meeting, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The agenda is approved. The next item on the approved agenda is the approval of the minutes from our April 24th meeting. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the April 24th meeting.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion. Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of approval of the minutes from the April 24th meeting, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries. Minutes are approved. Next item on our agenda is public comments. There's no one here in the room. We put public comments on there just in case there were some folks that would attend and want to have some questions and or comments. But seeing none, I will close the floor for public comments and move on to the next item on the agenda, and that is review and discussion of the FY 23-24 audit report. For those watching, we got the report. It's in its final draft, according to John Viola. The accounting firm has not given its final sign off, but when I spoke with John on at the board meeting on Saturday, he did say that they don't anticipate any changes between what's in the final draft and what the final sign off will be. So we're pretty confident that the information that we got on Monday is certainly we'll be working with it going forward. I'll ask the committee, because we've only had a day and a half to really review it. I just wanted to put it out there, basically to say, and we talked to this before the meeting, if there's one of the things when I spoke with John about this, one of the things we might want to do is just take our time, go look through it. The new members can look through it as well. And then if we have questions, kind of pull them all together, and then I can, send them over to John, as a group of questions that, can be answered as we go through this. Because, and I told George earlier, I'll tell him myself because I didn't think we were going to discuss it in detail today, nor did we plan to. I really haven't gone through it in detail. So I want to take some time to be able to look at that and understand, how the budget was prepped last year, how we met those budget requirements, and what we did, during the whole budget season and fiscal year. So does anybody have any questions, comments about what we want to do going forward with regard to the FY 23-24 final report?
No, that sounds good to me. So
Sounds good.
if
I
if
haven't
I
had a
understand,
chance to look
if I understand you right, go through it, send you the questions,
Yeah, yeah,
then you'll
yeah.
consult.
But I mean, just
Yeah.
CC everybody. So we all,
Right, oh, yeah, yeah.
you know, that we all know a question that's coming in, because I like, you know, when you do it like that, somebody might go, oh yeah, when George said that, oh, I want to go back and follow up on something else. So
Right.
yeah, just make sure, you know, and then when we're all, you know, sort of finished with any questions, then I'll forward it to John and his team, and then we can get the answers and use that, you know, as a sort of part of the discussion for the August meeting. Fair enough? Everybody okay with that?
Yep.
Okay. Very good. Then, and gentlemen, I see Frank and Randy, you guys okay with that approach?
Is Doug, can you hear me?
Yes?
Yes. Is that the draft that was that it's I had a report that said draft of audit report. It
Yep.
came through on my phone. Is that what we're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
the draft, the thing that is a draft is really the final.
Yeah, for all intents and purposes, yes. But you know, until you get that final sign off, I tend to want to continue to, you know, consider it a draft, you know, until
Okay.
then. But like I said, according to John, it's, you know, it's really not going to change. So,
What I'm saying is we can use that to go through it, and if we have any questions on it, then refer them back to you.
correct. And I think you guys are also in the, I put you in the budget and finance email distribution list, so you should be getting the emails. So just, Frank and Randy, can you confirm you got the email that I sent with all that information on it?
I did.
Okay, good. All right, so that's how we'll move forward. We'll compile questions and so on and so forth, and then we will present them to John with the anticipation of getting answers and having a discussion at the August meeting. Very good. All right, next item on the agenda is the review and discussion of the June 2024 monthly financials. The last time we went through the financial report, I used kind of the hunt and peck approach, just ask, and then we talked about, why don't we just go back to doing it page by page? And so I, you know, given that we talked about that last time, let's go page by page. I think that'll keep it, you know, organized rather than bouncing all over the place, and we can move forward as we talked about. So, all right. So you looked at you know, the positive variance of a 175, and year to date we're at 429 to the good. Any questions on that? Next page is the account summary, the unaudited, showing the variance to budget of 429K so far. There, okay.
One question.
Yeah.
Are the assessments 100% revenue? Whether they're paid or unpaid, or there's some, in other words, do you recognize 100%, $8 million because that's what's due? Or is there some?
Yeah, when the budget is made, you know, if you remember going back to the budget preparation process, you got to list the number of lots that are, you know, non-water lots, estate water lots, and so on and so forth, and they calculate, you know, based on.
Okay, but if we know that 8% of those people are not going to pay the assessments.
Yeah, I think if I remember correctly, we were closer to 98% collection, meaning that only about 2% of the people, you know, did not pay their assessment in full. So I don't know if that, you know, it's a stat actually I kept when I was treasurer. You know, I went through every year, and we kind of like, we were like 96, 97, 98%, you know, collection. So to your point.
Recognized like a sale, and then if it's not collected, it's written off or whatever.
Yeah, it goes into, there's a category for, you know, write-offs for the uncollected assessments. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, is it really, the budget number is real based on the number of lots.
Right.
The actual collection of money is going to be less than that, right? So.
Yeah, I mean, what's owed shows up as accounts receivable.
Mhm.
That's my understanding.
Okay, the next was,
Hey Doug, can I ask a quick
Yeah.
question? I
please.
got a whole bunch of attachments. Which one are we looking at?
Actually, this one will be on the Ocean Pines website under the finance department page, and it's the June 2024 financials. There's a category on the page that says monthly financial reports. Just open that up and you'll see the June 2024 report, and that's what we're working off of right now.
Okay.
And I did not send that in an email because I knew it was available on the website.
Okay, I got some learning to do.
Okay,
I got some catching up to do.
that's all right.
All right, so.
Let me know when you get there.
Website. Is it under the committee,
Go under departments
right?
and then finance.
Right?
And then when you open that up, scroll down, you'll see a selection of monthly reports, monthly financial
Those
reports.
reports.
Got it?
All right, open that up and you should find a link to the June 2024 monthly financial report.
Okay, thanks.
Seeing that?
Yes, I'm good.
Okay.
Got it. All right. We're on page 3, operating results. Any questions on that one?
Yeah, under administration, there's a credit card fees, $7,400. Was wondering what that was, why that was showing up in administration.
Is that convenience fee for people who paid by credit card?
Well, but
They're-
that wouldn't be
know.
an expense though, would it?
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Are we compiling these questions for?
Well,
Answer.
no, I think, yeah, we can.
Huh.
The idea here is that, I thought that it's funny you mentioned convenience fee because I have to mention F06 that unfortunately didn't make it to the agenda. They wanted more time to look at it at the board meeting. But wasn't the resolution that was passed in 2017 said that the convenience fee is charged at the time of the transaction. So now I don't know if John and I guess maybe we should find out, are they treating it as 2 separate entries on the balance sheet? Meaning I had an income of X, but I had to pay, from that convenience fee, or is the convenience fee just passed through? In other words, it's $10 plus 3%, so it's $10.30, and where do you account for that 30 cents? As that shows up on the income statement, right? And then it's got to be obviously paid to the credit card company. But at the end of the day, it's like when that transaction happens, is it 10.30 against the $10.30 against the credit card? Does it mark that? So maybe the mechanics of the credit card transaction should probably be asked.
Yeah, I mean, this is an expense, right? If I'm reading this right, I mean, it's showing up as in the expenditure. So maybe there was just enough of it that they pointed it out because it was a larger number for this month. But I was just curious why that was showing up there.
All right.
Would you expect it to show up?
Well, like under one of the amenities that are, taking in credit cards.
Okay.
So it must be, here's what I think it is. I guess it's, even though we're collecting a convenience fee, I think Doug may have just pointed this out, that we're still paying the credit card company
Right.
that money as a fee. So maybe because it's in June and they, got a lot of credit card assessment payments, we have a larger fee to pay.
Yeah.
And
And then it showed up in.
yeah, and and it's a big number. So they
All right.
try to put, larger expenses and revenues here in the this one page. All right, I answered my own question, I think.
So are we asking for clarification?
That was 3.
on that entry?
Yeah, I'm making a note here. Okay, I will have to, because John and Steve aren't in the meeting right now, so I'll make sure we get that. But please put that in the minutes.
Okay, yeah.
All right. Anything else on the operating results? All right, moving on to the next page would be the net operating by department. I have a couple of questions here.
Yeah, me too.
All right, I wanted just to kind of under tennis, if you look, there's a negative variance of 11,273, and then year to date it's 5,200 and change. Is that any indication of something that needs to be looked at or get explained? The idea here is that tennis, I believe, is somewhat seasonal, And so I would think that during this time of year, you'd have, you'd have something,
When you
that,
go to the tennis statement, they'll give back $10,000 in dues. I don't know if that was misplaced somewhere along the line and they just credited it back to the tennis or what.
oh, okay.
Or people didn't want to do it and they gave the dues back. I don't know.
Okay, well, that's.
When you get to the tennis,
All right, when we get to tennis, we'll do that. And then, well, we'll stay with this page. All right, that was all I had. Did notice that our variance of 429, 479 shows up. That's, so far so good. Brian, you had something?
What's going on at the beach club, man? They're doing a booming business down there compared to the budget and year to date and compared to last year. Just curious as to where all that revenue's coming from.
You know, it's, yeah.
The weather's been terrific.
Yeah,
And
I think that's it.
the beach has been packed.
I'm not complaining. I'm just pointing it out,
I
man.
wonder if it's, like anything weather related.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
I mean,
It's
we go
gotta
to,
be,
we go to the beach club a lot. And
yeah, I've been several times.
Yeah, the weather's been good, so.
Yeah, not a complaint, just, it'd be nice, if that trend continues.
I mean, it's year to date, it's 60 grand versus 10 grand budget. And against last year, it's that 60 grand against 34. It's just awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
we haven't had a bad weekend yet, have they? Except maybe this past one was iffy a little bit.
It was a little iffy, but
Yeah, I know my kids were over.
Saturday was bad, but Sunday was packed.
You could also say the yacht club's in the same, good boat. I mean, they're way up too.
Yeah. Anything else on this page? Okay, let's move to the next page, operating summary. I got a question I believe some others folks might have. I would really like to understand, and this is no knock on anybody, but the actuals for the month of June of under other costs of $282,297. While I know that, the category of other costs is a catch-all to, just so you don't have to get to the umpteenth level of detail regarding categorization of transactions. But, 282 is a, kind of a number that makes you stand up and notice. So I kind of would like to have a little more detail on other costs of 282.
Especially since it's up over budget too by a significant amount.
Yeah. Yeah, 60, almost 65K over what they anticipated.
It's $500,000 for 2 months, right? Almost $500,000.
Yep.
A lot of office supplies or whatever.
Yeah, so we need to,
Weren't they gonna give us something, Brian, on other costs?
We had asked for some sort of detailed summary for last year's total. I don't know if there's anything like that in the financial statement, but it is in the minutes, I believe. From
okay, any other questions on this sheet?
Nope.
Okay. All right, now we're moving into the racket sports, the departmental summaries. So anything on this one is racket sports combined.
I like having the combined page for this.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's nice. It doesn't, racket sports, I look at it as they all use the same complex and, it kind of balances things out. It doesn't make one particular sport look bad, because they're all using the same facility and getting the same benefits. So yeah, I do like the,
Yeah.
And they're pretty much on track as far as the budget goes.
Looks like they're
All right.
well short of what they thought on member dues.
Yeah. Yeah. They're a little short on, you're right, they're a little short on the membership dues by just under 4K. And, I don't know if that's any one particular sport or it's just the, blended combination of sports or, one of the things that came up during the budget process was the fee structure, about can you get multi-sport and so on and so forth. So maybe that's probably worth a look at, for as we do budget prep for, the upcoming fiscal year, just, did it meet the expectation that it had when you set that fee structure or, does it need to be, adjusted or modified at all? So. Okay, anything else on the racket sports combined?
Nope, looking good.
All right, next sheet is pickleball.
I had a question on other costs there, but we talked a little bit about that, but it's year to date, it's running higher than budget
Yeah,
by
Yeah.
almost $2,000. So.
yeah, other costs in pickleball and I mean, what I didn't do is go down and match all the other costs categories in all of the other departments and see how much it added up to that 280, But I'm sure we can kind of decipher what comes out of that.
But their revenues are up too, so.
Yeah.
You have to spend money to make money.
Yeah. Yeah. Pickleball is doing quite well.
Doing quite well.
Net operating is well above what was budgeted. So, for the month. All right. The next sheet is tennis.
Not as good.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, not as good.
See, there's where the 10,000 member dues are, and
Yeah.
I don't know if it was reclassified there or gave back or,
Yeah, big question mark on that.
and the
Okay.
one before that, the pickleball has $10,000 member dues positive for the month, so maybe it's between one and the other.
It's almost.
Maybe it's a multi-sport. The multi-sport
Yeah.
thing is Doug alluded to.
I don't know.
They're out that they are allocating it between the sports.
Yeah. I mean, that's the question we have to answer because you look at it in raw and just, if you didn't know that
Right.
fee structure existed, you're like, well, geez, they had budgeted, a positive, of 1753 and you lost 10,000. I mean, so, there's got to be another explanation behind it.
Yeah, it's got to be a fix because the year to date's off a little bit, but
Yeah.
it's seems like a better comparison.
And this actually, what's interesting is this is a good indication of why that combined racket sports report really kind of paints a little bit better picture. We're not in operations. We don't worry about the detail, but this detail kind of, there may be something that they need to look at operationally. So, any other questions on tennis? All right. Next item is platform tennis. Okay, nothing there.
Yep.
All right. I just looked at one of my notes that we didn't cover, and I just wanted to bring it up. Let's pause for a second. Go back to the operating summary under expenses, and one of my questions that I wrote down was, does the net operating include salaries of the new officers? In other words, have their salaries been included in this? Now, I would think the answer is yes. And in other words, when we go to do the budget for next year, I'm sure John will look at that number, as far as wages, and benefits for police officers. And that number will change significantly for next year. And then one other item when we go back, go back to the combined racket sports. If you notice, there were no facility rentals. If you go back over here, there were no facility rentals in June or July. I went back to the other report from last month, and it says zero. So I don't know if there was any. Is it because they are talking about doing renovations to it, and it's kind of like they're not allowing anybody to do anything, any events there just because the building's not quote unquote ready or, appropriate at this point. I don't know, but that's another question.
Them working on it.
Yeah.
Maybe
Maybe it's just because of that. Yeah. I mean, I just like an answer to that one because it's probably an explanation, but, and then,
They didn't have any facility rentals in pickleball either, so.
yeah,
Probably,
and I'm just wondering if that was, because of the circumstances of the building where they're doing the renovations, or is it another issue? I'd like to think it's the former, but we'll see. And then the other
Question or comment now. As far as renovations go, I'm working right now with John and the tennis guy and a few other people on where we're going to go with those renovations. So right now everything's sort of on hold. So we'll have to see what happens over the next short period of time as to which way they're going to go with those renovations.
Okay, so there's no actual work being done at the racket center at this point in
No.
time. Okay.
Nothing's being done right now. It's just
Okay.
the way it is, and there've been a lot of different ideas as to which way you want to go. And until those ideas are fleshed out, there's nothing happening there as far as changes to the existing racket center.
Okay,
But
thanks,
hopefully
Frank.
that'll take place fairly shortly.
Yeah, good. Okay. So it could be just circumstantial that, there just hasn't been any demand for, the rental of the
Well, I
facility.
know that the group I play mahjong, we used to play there and we were told that we can't play there now.
Really?
Yeah.
I guess,
Elsewhere.
okay. All right. Well, just, again, just a note more than anything else. I don't think it's anything drastic or critical at this point. All right, moving on. One good thing, I'm sorry. Although there was a decline in the tennis membership, there's an increase in platform tennis membership. I noticed that too, so that says that sport's getting more noticed. Okay, next item is aquatics.
Just a note, daily fees are going through the roof.
Noted that too.
Yeah, I mean, they were up significantly this year.
Yeah, that's really, that carried the whole revenue side, if you look at it.
Yeah.
Because
I don't know if I was reading this somewhere or somebody told me this, that there's issues with the number of people you can have in a pool.
yeah,
People that have memberships in Ocean Pines can't get in because the public isn't.
it's
I know that, I'm not saying you.
and I'm looking at Colette because we served on the board for
Yeah.
that problem is every year. You'll hear it on social media, you'll hear it on, an email to the board, and I think if I remember, and correct me if I'm wrong, this was probably 7-8 years ago when Colby was here. She did a statistic of and looked at all the memberships, all the people that were even coming in during the day, whether they members or outside. And I think, wasn't it close to 94% of the people that were using the pool were Ocean Pines members? And the quote unquote, outsiders that were preventing us from getting in was like 6%, and so it was blown out of proportion. I mean, to me, it only takes one individual to get to the point where we say, well, I'm sorry, we're full, and they'll just surmise that it wasn't Ocean Pines people, it was all the outside people, and then it turns into
I think it's worse than it used to be, or
quite frankly, I haven't been following the statistics on that. I have not.
The pools are more crowded this year, according to the aquatics department.
Well, you can see in the numbers here, obviously with the increase in daily fees.
They also give preference to members to enter the pools an hour or two
I
early.
think at the yacht club pool, it's like 8:00 and then they don't let other people until 10.
And so
So,
you can kind of stake your spot.
Yeah.
if you're-
so, I mean, good question, Don, but we've dealt with that. We collectively have dealt with that for years, and it's just a perception that I think it's probably not reality. So I mean, we've got data to prove it. So, but yeah, I think it's interesting that and the other thing too is did we not? And again, I'm sorry for not knowing this. Did we not increase the salary of lifeguards in this year's budget?
yeah, I think so.
Which means it attracted more lifeguards. You've got a full staffing of lifeguards, which now that ratio, the lawful ratio of number of people in the pool to the number of lifeguards available, it's probably promoting the fact that we could have an extra guard in the pool, and you can have X number more people in the pool at the same time. So, all right, anything else on aquatics? All right, next item is combined golf ops.
Well,
Yeah, I was gonna say, greens fees are, on budget. I think that the revenues, you're up, almost 21 grand. And then, at the end of the day, you're, net operating, almost 10 grand better than budget for, the month. So that's pretty good too. Golf is really doing well. And, the course is in pretty good shape.
driving range is doing exceptional.
Yeah,
Go there.
I it's funny because I don't go over to the driving range. I probably should. Okay.
I wanted to ask about, and I think we asked this before, but the Golf Academy and the lessons. The Golf Academy's getting a $700 a month accrual. Is that some sort of rent or lease that Ruggieri's paying us? And is the lessons our cut of the of the, the lessons fees?
I think lessons and Golf Academy are two different things because the pros that are employees of Ocean Pines give lessons.
Yeah.
I think that represents lessons, and then the Golf Academy pays a fee to Ocean Pines for the use of the facility.
Mhm.
I think a portion of the lesson fee.
So you're,
So I think that Golf Academy is its own, that's what
Yeah.
it pays to Ocean.
John O'Connor and Brian,
so the lessons category is
Bob Beckelman.
what our pros charge to give lessons.
Yeah, lessons, I believe, is what our pros charge.
But that's not Matt. That's not,
That's not Matt.
I thought
It's the
Matt
academy.
had a percentage though.
yeah, that's what I thought. We were getting a cut of Matt's fees.
Yeah, I know.
That's, I think, what that Golf Academy line is.
Yeah,
is
but
the
that,
cut that
if
The
it's,
academy pays.
if it's a percentage of his lessons, it
Why
would
is
be
it always
$700.
$700?
Yeah, I think
I think
some of Matt's lessons are in golf lesson.
Well, let's find out because
Yeah,
that,
I think they are.
the Golf Academy is a solid 700 every, it's right on budget. So that's got to be contractually, his quote unquote rent.
Like,
for use
Yeah.
of space.
I'd have to go back to the minutes, but I thought it was a percentage of the lessons that Matt gives goes to the clubhouse. And so the more lessons he gets, the higher that number would be.
Yeah. That's
That's-
true.
Yeah,
And I
so,
think that's what that Golf Academy number
but
represents.
why is it 700 every month? It's because his lessons vary. So
Yeah,
his
no,
number
it's-
of
I
lessons
don't know,
vary.
he's pretty full all the
Oh, I
time.
know, but
Yeah, but I'm with
and it's
Nicholas.
different charges for lessons. If it's a half hour lesson, if it's this, if it's a fitting, it's all different charges.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. I think the Golf Academy is the quote unquote rent.
yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
nothing.
I know it's a
Revenue.
revenue amount, but I'd like
And
clarification.
I know there's another gentleman that comes in, that I met down there. He works at Nutter's Crossing and he comes in and rents it for some lessons too.
Yeah.
Nice guy.
Yeah, I met him the other day.
Steve or something?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, young kid. All right, so I got that as a follow-up question.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else on combined golf ops?
Looking good.
Okay. Actually, the only thing I kind of came to mind there is under the wages and benefits. We're, $2,500 under, the budgeted, amount. So, I don't know if that's good, bad, I don't know if it's worth doing. And then, just my other question I wrote down for this one was, you got this big variance in member dues, under revenue of like 2,700. And, is it just seasonal? Or is it an indication of something else? In other words, did the membership go down members? Not that golf has any problems, but the question would be, is that something that we should keep an eye on that going forward? In other words, you look at member dues. Almost, I would be interested to see what member dues in August is going to be like.
Year to date though, member dues are up 52 grand.
Yeah, yeah, and that's why I wrote the question. It's like, what happened in June? Was it, and is he taking the membership dues and spreading it out over the entire fiscal year versus having a big month with a big plus and then another month with a minus on it and so on and so forth? Not a big deal, just something to think about.
Now, curiously, does everybody's membership renew at the same date, like the assessments?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So then that would mean like maybe the 1,700 for the month is a couple newbies,
could be.
Right.
and but I'd be interested to know when they renew that. Is it January 1st? Do you know
Renew.
the golf memberships? Yeah.
No, you pay
No.
them with
That's
assessment.
the same thing as the. I'll get to you in a second. Same thing as your assessment. It's due on May 1.
Oh, May 1. Okay. Okay.
All right, who was that? Was that Frank or Randy?
Frank.
Frank.
According to the information we have in the Golf Advisory Committee, the memberships have gone up from 170 members last year to almost 200 this year. Those memberships are due on the May 1st.
Right.
So I don't know how Bob divides that up, but the membership is up considerably from last year to this year.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, as evidenced by that
Yep.
year-to-date number of 52 grand. So,
That's great.
okay, all right. We'll
yeah,
follow up
but
on that. Another minor detail, but it's good to know. These questions come up. We just want to make sure we understand them. All right. Next, anything else on combined golf ops? All right. Next, we'll move to the Clubhouse Grill. Any questions on that one? I will have to, so I'll put in a plug for Judy, who's managing the place over there. If you notice, there's more specials, there's like there's food specials, there's drink specials, and then there's that Nine and Dine where they on Wednesdays where they you can sign up to play golf, play 9 holes, and then they keep the clubhouse open until I think 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. So
I thought it was 9 and wine.
no, that's when I play 9 and wine. No, 9 and Dine. So, again, create little programs like that, good for the business. And, obviously it shows here in the, the net operating of, geez, this month they were 20 grand over budget. I mean,
That was actually the brainchild of the Ladies Golf Association.
good.
The
Yeah.
night of time.
Yeah,
They recruit
it's,
people actively to come to
yeah,
Them.
it's,
Is that every Wednesday?
yeah, well,
everyone's,
Yeah.
well,
Almost every.
almost. If there are events in the clubhouse that preclude that from happening,
Yeah.
then it doesn't happen.
yeah, it's every Wednesday. Okay, nothing else on Clubhouse Grill. That's doing very well.
All good.
I have some questions on the supplementals let's do it.
Okay, let's do it
Yeah.
during the supplementals. Okay. Next is the Beach Club. Obviously, we talked about that one already. I just, it's not a big deal, but I always, you got facility rental, and there's no income there, but they had budgeted $400. I mean, for all intents and purposes, if I understand it correctly, we can't rent out the upstairs because there's no handicap access. I think that's what I heard. So, I mean, it's not a big deal. You can keep facility rental, as one of the categories in case it props up again. But, I just find it interesting that we really can't do that.
Yeah, I think Matt in the budget, Matt over the budget time said, some of the things aren't working either. So
Yeah.
He says isn't worth it to rent it out.
Yeah.
They don't.
Yeah. But going back to net operating, she's 28 grand, of good against the budget. So yeah, we talked about it earlier. Everything looks like copacetic over at the Beach Club. Okay. Next item is beach parking. That's pretty, it's pretty interesting that, the actuals for this month were below budget. So, but then again, year to date so far, we're ahead of budget. So,
I just noticed something here on the Beach Club.
Beach Club.
Maybe I'm reading this wrong.
okay, go back to the beach.
The monthly budget is 20,900 for the month. The year-to-date budget is only 10 grand.
Where do you see?
Yeah, what line you?
On the bottom line, net operating in the Beach Club. We're in the Beach Club, right?
Right.
So how can the monthly budget be 21 grand and the year-to-date budget only 10 grand when the year-to-date is for 2 months?
It's something to do with the wages, Brian.
Yeah, but
I see what Brian's driving at.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll get an answer to that one. That's a good catch, Brian. And that operating year to date.
is less than the month of June. That doesn't make sense.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Now back in. Thanks, Brian. Beach parking. Any issues there? I mean, it's a little under, but we're for the month, year to date, we're fine. We're met our budget requirements.
Yep, I think I've questioned the wages and benefits before because I think I noticed last year that the budget was higher than the actual, which is what we're seeing here now too. I mean, are they over budgeting for wages or are they got an open position that they're not filling? I mean, I get it's to the plus, so I guess it's not really something to.
Yeah, I wonder if they reduce the number of folks that they need there.
Yeah.
Or they it was a carryover from a previous budget, and now they've adjusted their hours that they want to make sure they cover who's in the parking lot or not. I don't know.
So the wages for May were only $100, right?
Yeah. And there was no budget in May either.
Right.
$20.
All right.
Are you gonna seek clarification on that?
Yeah. Okay, next item, yacht club. Anybody?
Other costs?
Yeah.
For the month and for the year to date.
Yeah. Yeah, I put down there,
I did notice if you go back to the other supplement, the Matt Ort reports,
Mhm.
I did notice from the yacht club, the management fees were less than they'd had been.
Mhm.
If you went to those reports,
Mhm.
that isn't reflected here anywhere, so
Mhm.
it's not of our concern.
I thought that this year we were gonna be comparing apples to apples with the management fee. That last year they'd started putting it in each month on these reports, and then now this year it would be a apples to apples comparison, but you know, there's just, the management fee is in that other costs, and it looks like it's just, confusing.
yeah, so I guess the question we would have for finance would be, are you paying the management fee as a lump sum at the end of the fiscal year? Because, see, that's a fixed number. The
Yeah.
bonus is different, the fixed number, or are you paying it every month?
Yeah, no, I thought they were accruing something each month now, and that started last year.
Okay,
And if that's the case, it should be its own line. Don't you think? It shouldn't be lumped into other costs.
true. We could make a recommendation, to break out management fees unless John has it, categorized somewhere else where he can keep a better eye on it in a more sort of organized way. So, okay, so,
Just ask why it wouldn't have its own line.
I would think for this report, it's lumped in other costs because it's, there's not a better place to put it, but in some more detailed report, it's probably broken out.
okay, all right. Anything else on the yacht club?
The facility rental is not looking good for the first 2 months.
Yeah. Yeah, their facility rental, although if you look at, Randy, if you look at the report of the, was it deposits on hand that I sent in that email?
Yeah.
That they have, as far as, the facility rental over at the yacht club, that should at least point you in the right direction. In other words, they might only put a deposit down, the actual revenue is going to come in closer or maybe at the time of the event. So, I mean, maybe that's why that number's down a little bit.
But if you look at food banquet and food beverage, they're up for the year.
Yeah,
So, and that's what uses that facility upstairs most of the time. So
Yeah.
I don't know how, I'm not sure how they classify facility rental in that versus banquet food and banquet, beverages. But they're up for the year, so their banquets are good. And I looked at that sheet, Doug,
yeah,
of events coming up.
Yeah.
And well, I was concerned about August a couple of months ago, but August is starting to fill in too. So he's getting more and more things coming in.
Yeah, it is curious though that the balance of the rental fee for the events that are occurring in June wouldn't reflect
right.
the June financial.
And they're not going to realize the revenue until it's actually realized,
Are any of the deposits non-refundable portion?
That is a good question. I don't know if it's individually contracted, or it's part of a general contract agreement between, the Matador Company, Ocean Pines, and the customer. So,
Yeah, I'm just wondering if it's non-refundable, they should be recording it as revenue, some portion.
yeah, if it's not refundable, yeah, I would think that they would be able to, identify that revenue. It was like, I've looked at that report and it's like, so they put a $250 deposit down. Okay, 10 of those. Okay, so $2,500 worth of revenue we could book, if it's not refundable, but that pales in comparison to the numbers we're looking at. But all right, anything else on the yacht club? All right, moving over to marinas. I just found under marinas and net operating, the budget was to lose $2,400. And yet the actuals, we made, we were 10,134 to the good. So that's very interesting. And I don't, is that weather related? Is it cost of fuel related? Is it, just more people found out about the competitive pricing at that marina dock and are now bringing their boats over just to get, fuel? Maybe.
Wages are better and sales are up. Fuel sales are up.
Yeah.
Two biggest.
Yeah. If you look at fuel sales, you're, 21 grand more. So, and then year to date, you're still doing pretty good. So, all right. Anything else? Any other questions on marinas?
Looking better than budget and last year.
Right. All right. Reserves for unaudited. Anything jump out at you?
Nope.
We'll have 9 mil planned. And then if you looked at the information from the budget meeting on Saturday, the target was, I believe, 7.1 million at the end of the fiscal year with the anticipated spending. So I think we're, obviously looking at a well balanced. And John Viola had mentioned the DMA coming back in and doing another assessment. I want to follow up with him because he is initially targeted November of this year, and I don't know if that's still going to happen because I guess the question would be if they reassess, and then obviously the numbers of the value of the asset changes, but at the same time, will the required percentage of reserve funds change? In other words, we're at over the past few years, years ago when I was on the board, we passed a motion to generally increase the amount of reserve funding. We went from at one point we were like 18%. Now we're up to like 20, almost 26%, if I'm not mistaken. And they're charting that. So I had a discussion with John, just having a beverage over at the yacht or at the clubhouse. And he said, yeah, one of the unknowns would be, well, what happens if DMA comes back and makes a recommendation that it's got to be 50%? What do we do? And so we're not really, there's no answer to that question. I retorted that, hey, does he have the authority to do that? I mean, under what law can they say, well, you, as a particular organization, must have 50% of your asset value in reserves? I don't. So
There was something. I'm sorry, Claude, did I interrupt you?
Well, at the board meeting, I thought he said that they were going to defer the full study for 2 years.
Oh,
Yeah,
is that it?
Because it's not too, there's still 2 years on it.
Yeah,
And as far as speaking to the authority, I think the law reads that, based on, standards in the industry and who defines those standards, that organizations such as ours have to fund at a level consistent with that standard. And I think that's why we are using DMA, because they're considered the experts.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine they're going to come back with
No,
it's
a huge increase.
yeah, that's what happened. They said that the gentleman from DMA said that we're good for the next 2 years.
Yeah.
And we don't have to really do it for 2 years. So John said he was going to hold it off,
Right.
but we're, as a Ocean Pines organ, we'll continue to review it and update it and see what we think of it too.
Right.
The other thing I understood is that they have, so far, the state for HOAs hasn't put a number, a percentage that you must have in reserves. They've kind of left that open. But to your point, we have increased it, and I think our goal was to get it to around 30%.
Yeah.
And I think the last time I looked at the chart, if I remember right, next year we may be at that.
Yeah, Steve Phillips has been tracking that over the past, and he put out that spreadsheet that's kind of projected out where we need to be. And I believe you're right. I think we're probably going to be close to 30% by next year, if not by, 2 years from now.
Yeah.
Which would be very good.
Yeah.
And I think that 30% came in the recommendation after the last audit from DMA.
Yeah.
The last time DMA.
I don't recall if
They
they,
had made a recommendation of where they think we should be.
yeah.
And
I have the book. I
But
have to
I'm-
look at it.
Yeah. I'd
Yeah,
have-
I've got the book too. Yeah, at the end of the day, the takeaway was we were far ahead of other similar organizations, which was, a good thing. So,
Well, yes and no. other organizations could be in big trouble and we're in little trouble.
Yeah, true, but hey, we've addressed the issue, I think.
Yeah, I
Very
think,
reasonable.
I think we're in good shape, but
Okay. Anything else on reserves? I think we're doing pretty good and like I said,
Well, I just wanted to make a note that, on the roads, I mean, there was a bunch of paving done like recently,
uh-huh,
couple months ago, right? And for end of last fiscal year, there was 377K expended. Is there gonna be more? Because that doesn't seem like as much as previous years that we spent on roads.
well, there was, and I don't have it off the top of my head, but John had a certain number of miles that they wanted to do each year and then
Right.
do a study of the
Yeah,
roads
yeah.
and their integrity.
Mhm.
And based on that,
No, I know that. It's just, it seems like that number's low, for all the paving that we did and compared to previous years, but maybe it's not, I don't know.
yeah, I don't know.
all right, I put a note to
Okay.
look at the, plan.
And then there's no, there's nothing in roads expenditures
Right, and,
for May and June.
okay,
Okay, thank you.
all right.
So are we gonna do a follow-up on that?
Yeah, I plan spending of roads for this fiscal year. I just made a note.
Say that again?
Plan spending on roads for this fiscal year. I'm sure John's got and I was well aware, as we all were, John has a list of
Yeah.
roads and, where they are. Matter of fact, Eddie sent that to me a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
I probably got it stashed somewhere.
And I think John stays away from paving in the summer because of all the tourists going on.
Yeah.
It comes up again in the fall.
Yeah.
And then in the spring.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Next page is the capital summary. I found some interesting, I've got a note here on this one. If you look down at the bottom, under golf maintenance irrigation system of 376K, I think that is, that's only like half or a third of what the planned expenditures are for this year. Is that correct? That was my question. I believe there was going to be upwards of almost 700,000.
Yep.
For the thing. So that's just, I guess, the first. And if you notice, the pipes came
Yep.
in and all that kind of stuff. So
Those came in.
yeah. So just wanted to confirm. I don't see it as an issue. That's something that we don't make sure of. We should see another fairly large expense like that to the tune of another 350K or whatever to start the work. Is that going to be a 3 or a 4-year project? Is it?
Last
I think
year was 3.
I think it's going to be.
Originally it was 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I think I'm just curious more than anything else. So
For the third.
I mean, we do budget prep. We'll obviously talk to John about that because in other words, what do you want to do as far as capital expenses in next year's budget?
Mhm.
So okay. All right. Anything else on capital?
And what did you
Yeah.
say expected spend this year for the irrigation is?
It was north of 650. It was probably close to 700K.
Yeah.
I got a bunch of questions in, the lower portion.
Okay.
I've almost thought that maybe John could give us a briefing on all this stuff because we missed a couple months and he's gone over, capital expenditures with us before. But just for example, I don't remember an admin vehicle being approved.
And that was the Explorer truck we talked about at the last meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
The utility truck that was outdated and we approved getting and
Okay.
replacing that.
All right, thank you for that. Yeah, didn't remember that. And then, like the bridges, was that the emergency repair on the, there was.
Yeah, they had talked about it for a while. Matter of fact, he mentioned it at the board meeting, that the wing walls that had to be replaced right on Clubhouse Drive
Yeah.
at the bridge there. And they finally got all the materials and time that they needed. So if you drive by there, you'll see the big,
So but that was the emergency repairs. Okay. And then, 2 more, the driving range building, $465. That building's like being, like 70% renovated out there. And they've only spent $465 on it so far.
Yeah, my guess is, as John's done in the past, he's used Ocean Pines labor to do it, to keep the cost down.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't have he's not burdened by some kind of time frame where he has to deliver the building, you know, so that he can start generating revenue. He's, probably, when time and labor's available, he uses it that way.
Okay, so maybe we'll see that go up then.
Thanks for bringing this up, Brian. I didn't notice this before. It has under Public Works a vehicle, $300. What kind of a vehicle can we, can't buy a bike for that? I wonder what that is.
Yeah.
Lastly, the Tiki Bar, is that the 130K, is that all in for the Tiki Bar? Does that include, all the additional equipment and stuff?
I would assume so.
Okay.
I mean, he probably lumped everything together since it's all going to be capital. It's a new asset.
Right.
So,
Okay, I guess that's all my questions for there.
anything else on the capital summary?
So anything you want noted in the minutes from this page? Just these questions or just, we've noted some things, but we seem to understand what those numbers represent.
All right, I would say the only one would be the Tiki Bar, just to make sure that that's the complete costs associated with the Tiki Bar.
And you'll follow up with that.
And did you want to ask about the $300 vehicle, or is not really?
No, to me, I just caught that. And I said,
I'll probably get killed for saying this, but we spill more coffee than that. So
I know, I'm just sort of that $30,000 charge.
yeah, it's 30 grand. Yeah, $300. Okay.
Did they put it in as 300 when it's supposed to be 30,000? I don't know.
Okay.
All right. Last chance for comments on capital summary. All right. Next item is the balance sheet. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. I usually don't have a whole lot here. It's just more data than anything else. No questions on that one? All right.
Nope.
Here is our cash and investments as of the end of June. That $19 million broken out into Bank of OC, Taylor Bank, Treasury. No questions there.
CDAR.
Nope. All right, the membership report. Nothing there.
Nope.
All right, and that's the end of that report. So that's good. The next item we want to go over is the supplemental sheets. Oops. Pull that up. All right. Should have downloaded these.
There they are.
All right. You want to start with the Beach Club?
At the Beach Club, when you do the gross profits,
You're looking at Ort's reports?
Yeah,
Okay.
supplemental reports,
Yep.
comparison income statements for Beach Club.
Got it.
when you look at the gross profits on the Beach Club, for the month of June, he only has 61% profit on liquor. And if you compare that to the clubhouse and the yacht club, it's like 85% and 94%. His gross profit's amazing on everything but liquor at the Beach Club. And I don't know if there's something whacked out there or just not ringing it up right, or people are stealing. Maybe there's nothing, but I don't understand why his liquor gross profit would be so low.
Yeah, you're right, 68%. Well, it was 73% last year.
Right.
Where are you seeing that?
About 2/3 of the way down the page under gross profit.
Oh, God.
And right under cost of goods sold. Okay.
Yeah, the year before it did really well. And why it would go down so much this year, at least it's to stay even, probably go up some.
Yeah. Well, if you look at even year to date, you know, it was 74% last year at this time, and it's 69%. That's not a big change, you know.
Well, if you look just at the liquor cost of goods sold from year to year, last year it was 19.76%, and this year it's 39%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a pretty hefty increase there. Year to date's a little,
Probably
year to date's a little closer.
No, yeah.
I wonder if he's changing distributors.
Or maybe excise taxes have changed. Or
Hmm.
some of those liquor items.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, these other organizations seem to be in line. It's just Beach Club seems to be whacked up.
I wonder if it's because it's so seasonal. I mean, you got such a short season that, you know, maybe he's, I don't know. I don't, and quite frankly, I don't know that it's our, I mean, we can certainly ask the question, but I don't know that it's our problem because it's his operation and it's going to affect his bonus structure. So other than just kind of being inquisitive, I guess,
Yeah.
I don't know that there's anything we really
know anything, and we'd be telling him something that maybe he wants to know. I
I
don't.
think this is another one where the management fee is down year to date, 12 grand last year, and it's only eight grand this year.
Here's another thing with the liquor, for the months. Liquor sales are up 9 grand year over year in June, but the liquor cost of goods sold is up 10 grand. That doesn't make sense.
Huh.
It took 10 grand more in liquor to sell 9 grand of liquor.
Yeah.
You're right, Doug. It's not maybe our situation or our problem.
I mean, I encourage asking questions. Quite frankly, now that, you know, you pointed that out, I'd just like to know just for my own personal edification. The idea would be, okay, there's a reason this happens this way. You know, maybe it's location specific, you know, the fact that you're at the beach club, there's certain other dynamics that aren't at the clubhouse and at the yacht club. I don't know, but it's a question worth asking just again for just to be more informed.
So you're going to follow up on that.
Yeah, I just we'll ask. And what I'll do is, you know, I'll summarize all this, send it to you guys to make sure we got all the questions, and before I send it to John. As a matter of fact, I think as long as his schedule allows it, I'd really like to have him at the meeting so that, you know, a lot of these things, you know, can be answered right on the spot.
Yep.
And it might be some simple answer that, okay, very good, move on, you know.
Yep.
All right, anything else on the income statement for the beach club? All right. Next item is the clubhouse.
When
Yeah, Don, that gross profit number is a little bit different here. It's very consistent.
Great.
Yeah. Although I think the revenue, if you just look at the revenue line between, you know, for June of 23 and June of 24, the revenue's up, what's that? $20,000, 19.5. Yeah. That's pretty
That's a
good
big increase,
Yeah.
27%.
in a month. And then if you look at the year to date number, you know, you're 30 grand ahead of where you were last year, which again, is that weather related? I think last year there were a few weekends that they, you know, got rained out, and, you know, the Friday, Saturday, you know, days are real, obviously revenue generating events. All right. Anything else? All right, let's move over to the yacht club. All right. Yeah, that's a very, very. Now that you maybe, yeah, now that you pointed that out, I look at it, and these are, you know, more in line, you know. And the
And as long as he knows it, I mean, I just don't want to say.
Yeah,
rude, you know?
I'm sure there's a reason for it. I guess, George, to your point, if you look at under the management fees,
Yeah, we're okay.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, but if you go year to date,
Yeah.
this year versus last year in June,
Yeah.
we're $2,250 lower.
Yep.
And so the question would be, I don't know that the management fee was a fixed charge.
well, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. And then, did you want to look at the combined one?
I don't see any sense in it.
No.
Yeah, because,
They're the
yeah.
important ones, I think.
Okay, and we saw unless somebody has some specific questions about the event bookings and everything, we don't need to really worry about that one. It's just, again, data.
I'd just be curious what it was last year at the same time. Like, it's 170 some thousand, I guess he has. And last year it could have been 250 or 300, or it's the same, or
Huh,
I don't know.
all right.
Not to get any detail or anything, just.
Okay. All right, so the next item in the supplemental report is golf operations. I looked at this and didn't see anything, revenues are up commensurate with what we saw in the other report. Yeah. Net operating is, just slightly better. Nothing there. And, net operating is 9 to the good. And then under golf maintenance, same thing. Pretty straightforward. Obviously, nothing on the revenue line, but
Having a hell of a year so far.
yeah. Okay, and then the third page of that report is the rec and parks.
The only thing I see there is Camp OP is
Yeah.
off for the year to date
That was
and
surprising.
for the month. Yeah,
That was surprising.
yeah, because last year that did very, very well.
Yeah.
It was way above budget.
Okay, I'll get an answer for that one.
Actually, the month,
He also said he said in the board meeting that it was full this year. and it's
Yeah.
Not usually.
Yeah.
full.
Yeah.
So that's curious.
Yeah,
Again, last year that was one of the higher income earners in Parks and Rec. So you may want to take a look at that.
okay. I got that written down. Okay, and that's it for the reports. Anything else that we need to discuss for the June 24 monthly financial reports?
Nope.
nope.
Okay, next item on the agenda is other comments and questions. Floor is open to the committee members.
Well,
For the good of the order, I don't know.
I hate to keep bringing this up, but even in last month's minutes, and several times before that, at one point, there was some kind of a recommendation from the Maryland State Highway Association for doing some review of the guardrails at the north entrance bridge. And John last meeting stated it's approximately 40K. And the question was, is this a requirement or is this just a recommendation? And John was going to investigate that.
Okay,
So I still think we need to get an answer on that. If it's just a recommendation, okay, but if it's some kind of a requirement, then we should be making those adjustments that the state's telling us we have to for the north entrance bridge.
okay,
And that's, if you go to last month's minutes, it's item 8C, under other questions and comments.
here we go. There we go, okay.
Likewise, I don't know if you want to pursue, this other cost category thing, but, We asked for a detailed schedule for last year of other costs, and they agreed that they would provide that.
As part of the financial audit and financial.
Yeah, I guess maybe it's in there. I haven't looked at that schedule yet, but,
That's also in our minutes last month.
yeah.
Yeah.
Item 8B. Brian Reynolds asked if Steve Phillips will still prepare a detailed schedule of other cost categories for BNF. Was agreed to at the previous
Okay.
meeting. It was good to see a year-end report.
John, and John said
He agreed with it, yeah.
Agreed.
It's in the minutes here. Maybe if you want to,
Got my note.
yeah, if you need any more detail.
Okay.
The minutes, yeah.
All right. Other questions? Okay, Frank and Randy, you guys good?
I'm good. I do see that you, this is more than a Zoom call, so I'd like to come to maybe the next one if that's possible.
Oh, yeah.
Physically?
Yeah.
Where is it?
We are in the admin building in the boardroom.
Okay.
So you're more than welcome. Personally, for the BNF committee, I kind of like us all to be together. That way we can look at the reports and do whatever. But yeah, this is fine too. All right. Well then, seeing that there's no more questions, I'll move to close the meeting and entertain a motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting's adjourned.